The Grudge, Round 2. This time it would be certain destruction beyond a shadow of a doubt for the new SIG 220 Combat. The tale of the tape. In one corner, the dynamic new SIG 220 Combat equipped with a LaserMax internal guide rod laser. The 220 Combat is an improvement on a seemingly unimprovable handgun design, specially enhanced for the SOCOM pistol trials with dark earth finish, chrome lined barrel, and internal parts that are maritime coated. And the LaserMax would be sailing into uncharted territory. In the other corner, FirePowerTV host Chip Kruer and Wes Kiesler and their twisted playground, affectionately referred to as the FirePowerTV Proving Grounds. You may recall, FirePowerTV had unleashed a horrific onslaught of extreme torture on SIG 226 2 years back. That test set the bar for which all other tests could be measured, and the 226 came through with flying colors. So, for the past 2 years, FirePowerTV has been plotting and planning a vengeful vendetta against SIG for passing their first test with a 226, and this time around, they weren't taking prisoners.
We have the Volvo 35-ton off-road highway truck. We're going to run over it. We've got the Case Steiger 430 horsepower tractor with a pan on it. Very heavy piece of equipment. We have the Case 275 tractor, a little bit lighter, but still got a lot of punch. Then we have the Caterpillar 315 excavator, and it's got a lot of hydraulic power, and we're going to run over it. Then we have the big boy, which is the 330 excavator by Caterpillar, and it's got a ton of hydraulic pressure. And it is a very heavy piece of equipment with a huge bucket.
It's more than $1 million worth of equipment plus the FirePowerTV Humvee. We're gonna take on SIG and LaserMax today on the FirePowerTV Proving Ground. Will they survive?
The target, the new SIG 220 Combat, the LaserMax would be included in the punishment as an innocent bystander. The list of tests we sent to SIG and LaserMax surely cast a spine-tingling jolt of apprehension. The hit list, run over with Case Steiger, 51,600 pounds. Use a cat dozer to crush, 43,096 pounds. Run over with a Volvo coal dump truck, 134,038 pounds. Use a cat excavator to drop and crush, 79,700 pounds. Use a Humvee to drag with a metal cable through a creek bed. Use a Louisville Slugger bat to knock the 220 out of the park. Stomp it with metal cleats by a giant. Freeze overnight, drop 5 stories from a cherry picker onto concrete, set on fire with lighter fluid, doused with an extinguisher, shoot the slide of the 220 with 9mm ball ammo at point-blank range, and finally, blow it up using near hand grenade force. The ground was a slimy mixture of mud, gravel, and sand, providing a natural element of torture unforeseen during the planning of the tests. Enter the Steiger, a monstrous tractor with hard rubber feet that gnarls the road. The 220 Combat with LaserMax was placed in the path of the tractor, run over, parked on, spun on, and even swallowed up by the tractor's tread. For those Monday morning quarterback skeptics who like to complain about tests being skewed or the ground being too soft, we added stones into the mix and created a muddy Oreo surprise with the 220 and LaserMax as the filling. 26 tons rolled over. You could hear a loud crack. Was this the end already? No, the slide of the 220 had ripped the stone in half like Excalibur, laser still pulsing. It was the stone that cracked, not the SIG or the LaserMax. Test passed. Rubber is too forgiving for some, so we brought out the steel. The giant cat dozer, weighing in at 21 tons, was not an easy opponent for the 220 Combatter Laser Max. Once again, the SIG was placed in the path of destruction. The dozer rumbled over, parked. The SIG came out with minor battle scars. Laser Max intact, so we decided to add a test that SIG nor Laser Max was prepared for. We raised the bucket of the cat 20 feet in the air, cut the hydraulics, and slammed the 220 straight to China. Again and again, more stones cracked, but not the 220. Still functioned flawlessly. Laser Max still blinking. Test passed. Now for the Volvo coal dump truck. Yes, the kind they use in the mine yards of Kentucky and West Virginia. Massive metal beast with staggering weight. This one, a colossal 134,038 pounds, more than 67 tons. We rolled it in and prepared an obituary for the SIG that was sure to become the Laser Max's coffin. As the giant rig crept forward, you couldn't hear the SIG cry out due to the roar of the massive diesel engine. As the truck rolled forward, the SIG was nowhere in sight, pummeled into the ground, surely left for scrap. What was this? The dark earth finish was playing its role well, camouflaging the grip of the gun, peeking out from under the gravel and mud. The Laser Max flashed at us defiantly. 220 and Laser Max 3, firepower 0, test passed. All is fair in love and war, so we upped the ante, rolling out another piece of equipment, bringing our total vehicle lineup to well over $1.5 million and close to 300,000 pounds. The giant muscled arm of the cat excavator dwarfed those of us on the ground. Then I had an idea. Let's throw the 220s and the lasers in the bucket and catapult them out. We did. They fell like bricks and still no malfunctions. Lasers shining through it all. It was time for another unplanned test. With patience wearing thin, we placed the bucket of the EXV on the 220 plus laser and lifted the entire vehicle off the ground. 3 minutes passed. Once again, no SIG in sight, driven down to the hounds of hell to chew on, no doubt. But defiantly, its slide was still peeking out. Laser Max blinking, and the 220 was still working. Test passed. Bring out the steel cable in the Humvee. It was time for a bumpy ride through the deep, murky creek bed for the Laser Max and 220C.
It's time to use the 220s and the Laser Max to go fishing.
As they disappeared under the water, I was hoping we wouldn't lose the gun to a creepy crawler. We didn't, and the SIG slide slapped forward with ease, hammer snapping at us with confidence. Laser Max surviving the murky submersion as well. Test passed. Bottom of the ninth. Chip Crewer, the power right-hander, the Indiana farm boy, a slab of lumber on his shoulder and blazed with Louisville Slugger, steps up to the plate. Here's the pitch. A loud crack of the bat. It's a high fly SIG 220 combat. Going, gone. Yeah, the Laser Max and 220C came through with another upset. But what about the other Indiana farm boy?
The Babe.
It's the Babe.
He weighs in at approximately 746 pounds, which is just under a ton. And I had him wear his baseball cleats. Those are the largest pair of baseball cleats in North America. If Shaq played baseball, he'd wear those. Lift up one of your feet. Look at that. Okay. So let's see if the 220 Combat and Laser Max internal guide rod laser can survive King Kong wearing cleats.
West jumped and stomped the 220 over and over. Small scratches, big results. Laser Max still pulsing like the lightsaber of a Jedi Knight. Test pass. Dropped by for a cold one and a flame-grilled steak. An overnight freezing put the chill factor on the Laser Max equipped SIG 220, so we decided to have an icebreaker, which included a 5-story fall on the concrete, both frozen and unfrozen. Even after the drop and the freezing, the Laser Max still blazed on. The SIG 220 was still giving us the cold shoulder, though, so we decided to heat up the dance floor with some lighter fluid for a 2-minute burn. Barely blackened and a little choked by the extinguisher.
Sorry about that.
The SIG was still ready to party, and the Laser Max was lighting the dance floor. Test passed.
It works.
Time for a taste of its own medicine. We set up a blast shield. I applied my body armor and necessary safety equipment. We locked down the cameras and the photogs evacuated the range. Don't try this at home. I took aim with a 220 slide and laser max with my factory certified pre-owned SIG 226 with 9mm ball ammo.
Fire in the hole.
Right into the slide. Everyone rushed in to get a closer look. You could see the impact point of the 9mm, but the slide still rocked back and forth. The trigger pulled, snapping the hammer. The laser max burning in applause. Unbelievable. Test passed. Now for the Godzilla of all torture tests. Never before had this been attempted. We brought out our explosive mixture, calculated to simulate an IED, an improvised explosive device. We placed a cardboard box on the target vehicle, placed the laser max equipped SIG 220 Combat on top of the box, and the explosive in the box.
Come here, take a look at this. Here's the gun. Now, it disappeared in the smoke and the explosion. The laser, as you can see as you zoom in on that leaf right there, that laser's still running. Survived that explosion. The gun grip has been destroyed. Slide's still working. That's the hole that was created by the explosion.
That was a true combat test for both the SIG 220 and the LaserMax internal guide rod laser. But will they still work?
Okay, we're here at the FirePowerTV Proving Ground. We've been through our gauntlet of extreme torture tests against the SIG 220 Combat and the LaserMax internal guide rod laser. Just to name a few of the tests, we've run over it with a bulldozer, we've smashed it, we've drug it through the mud, we've run it through a creek, we dropped it 5 stories, we froze it, we set it on fire, we shot the slide with the 9mm, and most of all, we blew it up. But does it shoot? Now, you can't see in the daylight. The LaserMax is still working. Wes, let's see if it works. That's to hell and back reliability.
FirePowerTV Proving Grounds pass. To hell and back reliability, for sure. To hell and back. Until next time.